Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Nadia Forde. I'm co-founder of Naere. We are a new wellbeing brand that bridge the silos of beauty, art, and wellness. We launched 6 months ago with a category-defining supplement, and in that time have partners with Health, Harvey Nichols, and British Vogue. But it has been a roller coaster. No, thank you. But really why we're here is because we're going to talk about all the stuff that happens behind the scenes that doesn't look as polished on the outside. Anyway, today I'm joined by 3 founders. There's one common denominator between all of us. We all come from media and entertainment backgrounds. So I really want to dig into how you wrap that into what you're doing now. And also you guys are way further down the line than me and some of the guys here. So please share and warn any of the pitfalls that are coming our way. So if you would put your hands together for Jamie, Laing, Spencer Matthews, and Rosie Connolly.
Let's freaking go. Here we go.
Lovely young man.
So I really want to talk about, you guys obviously come from, you did Made in Chelsea, now you're doing like Disney, you've gone from very long form entertainment, also using short form on Instagram, social media. I'd love to know what was the pivot for you, the moment that you were like, I don't want to just be defined by this TV role that people might know me for. What was not so much the product, the moment where you were like, I have the cojones to do this. So I'll start with you, Jamie.
Thank God. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this evening. You guys are great. You're not too hot, are you? We're good? Okay, good. So
What would you have done if they were too hot?
nothing. I would have done absolutely nothing. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamie Laing. I did a television show called Made in Chelsea. If you've seen it, I apologise. If you haven't seen it, it's a TV show about being posh. It's like the worst idea ever. But I did it for many years. Great question. So I think the reason I wanted to do Made in Chelsea in the beginning was, like, truthfully, came out of Leeds University with a 2-2 in theatre performance, right? That's not a good start in the world. Back when, this is like, a few years ago, right? And I didn't understand this idea of entrepreneurship. Didn't even know what it was. Yeah. Thought you had to go into the corporate world. Thought you had to find a job and work your way up. That was my idea of the business world, right? And I got offered a job at a wealth management company. And I went to bed that night thinking, I just don't want to do that. I'd already been offered this TV show called Made in Chelsea. And I knew my future going into this corporate life. I didn't know my future going into this Made in Chelsea life, right?
You liked the unpredictability.
The unpredictable, so much more exciting. Are you kidding me? I was like, I'm going to wake up and not know what happens. That's so exciting. But I knew if I went into it, I had to be different, right? Yeah. I got told this amazing thing that I've never forgotten, which is there's a great guy called Rory Sutherland. Do you guys know Rory Sutherland? Man, he's a genius, right? Rory Sutherland told me once, he said, never follow logic. Right? I was like, what do you mean? He says, if you're flying a plane or parking a car, following logic is a good thing because it gets back in a safe place, a place where you want to be. But if you are setting up a business, doing a personal brand, whatever it is, you really never want to follow logic because it gets you back in the same place as everybody else. So you want to go against the grain. So going into Made in Chelsea, I knew I had to be different. I knew I had to offer something. So I was like, right, well, I'm going to go into it, right, with the idea to set up this sweet company. Because I didn't just want to be known as a reality star.
So you knew before you did the show that you were going to have the business?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, interesting.
And so that was sort of the idea behind it, right? So I was like, right, I could go on this TV show, it could be quite fun and exciting, and I could experience all the things I think I'm going to experience, but also I could try and market this sweet company. So one of the first scenes I ever did was get a tattoo of Candy Kittens on my leg, right? Yeah, but we changed the logo. Genius, but now we changed the logo, so I just have a cat on my leg. That was my initial thing.
That's amazing. Spencer.
I don't think that was the answer to the question, just in passing.
Because he had his moment before the show.
I had my moment
before the show. Yeah. So for you, Spencer.
He still hasn't had his moment.
Yeah.
Are we having it right now in real time?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it now. So for me, I wanted my kind of dad's approval, I think, and I was following in my brother's footsteps, James, who worked in finance, and same as Jamie, I didn't really want to work in finance. I became a broker at ICAP. I was drinking really heavily at the time. It didn't feel particularly problematic, and Made in Chelsea for me was a really nice fresh start and a potential career change. So I didn't go into it with an idea, didn't go into it as an entrepreneur at all, but went into it wanting to maybe be a TV presenter or maybe, do more on screen. I went to uni in the States and wanted to be an actor, and couldn't really handle the rejection of not being good enough. And I would go and do auditions and, oh yeah, you're great, but, not quite right for it. I was just like, okay. And, did that a few times and just thought, I'm not ready for this. And there was no kind of security in it. And I thought maybe my dad will be more proud of me if I followed in his footsteps. So Made in Chelsea for me was fun. It was exciting. It was interesting. It was kind of trailblazing at the time. I know it doesn't feel like it now.
No,
but it didn't really exist before.
It's iconic. It is iconic.
This kind of interesting. I also think it's shit, just in passing. But
it's like no. It's
this interesting idea of following a group of people in their love lives and their relationships didn't really exist, right? Towie came out at a similar time. We were copying The Hills. The Hills was like the biggest show on MTV at the time. So it felt like a great opportunity to, frankly, be famous. Like that was a fun idea when I was 18, 19, 20. That idea of being recognized, being known was cool. So we all kind of chucked our hat in the ring and it ended up going quite well. My character kind of evolved and changed over the time of being on the show. Jamie and I had an incredible friendship, and then we had times where we were really kind of orchestrating a head-to-head environment that became quite complicated. Not our relationship, but just the show. And I particularly had quite a toxic relationship with the show. So I was really keen to get out of it at some point. I felt like it wasn't perhaps as authentic and real as it was at the beginning. And I wasn't really enjoying my time on the show. So I also would struggle to hold a normal job, in the sense that I like Jamie to be challenged. I like things to be unpredictable. I like when things go wrong. I like to try and fix things. So when my role is like really determined, I've had lots of jobs. When it's just like, this is your role and this is what you do, I get bored quite quickly.
What was your moment? You just said, I didn't answer the question.
Bring us to the moment of CleanCo. When did you go?
The moment for CleanCo.
The moment for CleanCo.
Between series of Made in Chelsea, I would abuse alcohol in really horrendous ways, to the point where it had become very detrimental to myself and those around me. I met an incredible woman who's now my wife, Vogue, who I think some of you know. We now have 3 kids and a 4th on the way. And my life was really transformed by meeting her and wanting to be a better version of myself for her initially. I'm now obsessed with health, fitness, running, being like an enhanced version of who I can be. Chasing goals and dreams is a big part of who I am. But the CleanCo thing came quite early in the readdressing of my relationship with alcohol. I knew that in order to save my relationship, I would have to be sober. And I did 3 years of total abstinence, and I started CleanCo like 3 months into that period. Yeah. So I wasn't sober very long before realizing there was a great big hole in a social experience if you weren't drinking. So I would literally go out with my friends because I didn't want my social life to suffer, and I would decide to make a positive decision, but you'd stick out as a negatively. It's kind of, there's a stigma around not drinking, less so nowadays, of course. But back then it was really like, actually, guys, I'm not drinking. And people would be like, what? So there needed to be something that could fit in alongside alcohol that wasn't a sugary mocktail.
Amazing.
That was my moment.
No, I love it. Rosie, tell me, you've obviously come from a influencer background, and it's quite easy to kind of live there for quite a while. So what was the moment for you that started Fourth Arc?
I think with... Oh, sorry, Mike.
I'm so sorry.
You've had your moment. Okay.
I thought we were sharing. That was my moment. I thought we were sharing. I thought you guys were sharing.
I think it's the end, isn't it?
It's like, we're done. So I started influencing 11 years ago. Back when Instagram was not what it is today. It was like grainy filters on top of things, and there was no money involved. And I started influencing when I had my first son, and it was just a hobby. And I was, documenting my pregnancy fashion. I was in the fashion industry, and I remember a brand offered to pay me I think it was £50 at the time, and sent me an outfit, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was like, brilliant, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then I thought, I kept getting offered more jobs, and I didn't want to go back to work after maternity leave. I wanted to stay at home with my little boy. And I kind of just fell into influencing. I won't lie, I'm not the typical personality for influencing and being online. I'm actually quite introverted and don't love these types of things. This is fine, this is a nice size room. But in general, I would be a little bit more shy. However, I love money. And I'm very money motivated. I love nice things. And so when the influencing space became really lucrative, it made sense for me to continue. But I always knew down the line, I did not want to be in the forefront of the media in years to come. And I felt like a shop front for a while because I spent 10 years selling products for other brands. And so on my vision board of things I wanted to do, in my head, I would love to start a brand and start a fashion brand. But I'm a dreamer. I don't really know how to make things happen all that often. I kind of live in the clouds half the time. And then COVID came around and everything stopped. Influencing became the most lucrative thing I could possibly do because all those marketing budgets went into online. So events weren't happening. They had loads of budget, but nowhere to put it. So it went into my bank account, which was lovely. So I had a really lucrative year. However, I just was kind of getting fed up with being online. With the good comes the bad and the judgment and all of that goes with it. And because my brand was sharing me and my kids and my family life, I thought I can't do this forever. And so myself and my husband decided to push ahead with this idea of our brand, which is Fourth Arc. We started it in December 2020 in the height of COVID from our house. We did our photo shoot online. It was in London because the restrictions in London were different to back home in Dublin. So we were on Zoom with a whole team directing it from the kitchen with the kids. And we now are 5 years in business and we're at the point of about 98 million in sales since we started, including wholesale and online. But to your point, I wanted a brand that I don't have to be in the forefront all the time and that I can make money and push it from the behind the scenes and be creative without being the influencer in the front of things. That's my question. Okay, sorry.
Really excited. No, I want to know because I think there's a real difference between there's a decision point when you go, I'm actually going to be the front facing and use that profile and attention, and then when do you know when to step away from it? I'd love to ask all of you that actually. How do you manage the kind of the profile and the attention that it works and then it also Candy Kittens exists on its own?
Yeah, by the way, that's so...
I know, it's amazing.
That's so amazing. Can I just ask a quick question? Do you like the term influencer or do you not like it?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I don't mind it, but I like business owner now because I'm running a business.
Totally. No, I guess I appreciate you saying that, right? Because there's like, talk about made in Chelsea, right? I'm so proud of the roots. I think it's really important to be proud of where you came from. Like I saw Harry Styles win the Grammy, right? He got on stage. He could have said anything he wanted. Biggest star in the world. He says, I want to thank the X Factor. So cool, right? That's his roots. It's so amazing to do that. I love it, right? What was your question? Here we go. Lock the doors, everyone. We're not going.
So what is...
How do you to the face, right?
How do you decide when you're going to... Okay, I'm going to front this now, and then how does Candy Kittens exist on its own?
Okay, and I just want to give value right to everyone. Like I think personal brand is one of the most valuable things you can do right now because it's one of the things AI can't take, right? So leaning into a personal brand is really important. So who's a business owner here? Okay, great. This is amazing, right? Some of you may be nervous about leaning into personal brand because I'm scared, I'm nervous, all those different things. I would encourage you to expose yourself to the situation and really do it. Post that LinkedIn post, do a TikTok, whatever it is. Really, that's the first thing. Just do it. Just do it and shut it away, but start doing it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like at the beginning, I wanted to shy away from being the face of Candy Kittens, right? Because if you work with retailers, they want longevity. They don't care if you're the King of England. They don't care. And also, I was on a TV show called Made in Chelsea, right? So automatically, people had an assumption of who I was. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it was. When you launch a product, you don't want them to have an assumption. Yeah. They just want to go, okay, I kind of like this, right? So they immediately liked or disliked it. And retailers thought that my longevity was going to be cut. So they didn't want to work with us, right? Because they care about shelf space. So it was a massive battle. So yes, it was an advantage because I could get eyeballs. But at the same time, it was a disadvantage because retailers didn't care. We lent away from it at the beginning, but now I fully lean into it because I think personal brand attached to a consumer brand is really valuable, right? Because it's personality behind it. The next biggest brands are going to be content creators.
at the right time. Like so,
100%.
when we launched Naere, we were speaking to British Vogue and all of these people really, really early on. But we kind of led product first and let it live there. And I think patience was the hardest bit because it's like you want to go online and have that quick win, but then you know that for the product to exist on its own, you need to just wait for the validation, you know.
100%. But also, I'm not saying that's what you have to do. It's just my situation, right? I was on a TV show, so I didn't know how valuable it was going to be. But at the beginning, it was valuable, but it also wasn't. But over time, I had to change that. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. What was the question?
No, I remember the question. It kind of depends. It's obviously helpful. A good founder story and an authentic reason for starting a brand is a lot of the reason why somebody may be interested in paying attention to it in the first place. You know, we've gone out and we've raised £30 million over the last few years, and what comes back to me from private equity, venture, is, the importance of the founder story. It's what, you can have all the data in the world and you can have all the market research in the world, but if you really touch somebody in why you created a certain thing and it resonates with them, then, that's a potential kind of customer for life. It's a potential investor. It's important. As for being the face of something, I'm relatively well known here, so we do stuff here. I'm not well known at all in the States, so I'm not really the face of the brand at all in the States. Although we do get told, you should be in the States, you should be in market. It doesn't really matter if fame carries, because the authenticity of the founder story is really important, similar to what Jamie was saying. So, when we first launched CleanCo, I think we got 40,000 or 50,000 followers on Instagram in the first kind of 3 weeks. It was just before COVID. We were kind of just taking off as COVID hit. We were making cocktails in our kitchen, going live, doing lives every night. Vogue was joining in. So that authentic founder story of I abused alcohol for many years and I wish I hadn't, and this is an amazing replacement to that, so that I don't have to change my behavior. That time where I feel like I really want a gin and tonic, I can have a clean gin and tonic, was kind of new to people. And so it resonated. And the only person that could have really done that at the time was me. So I think it kind of depends. Obviously, my dream would be for CleanCo to lift off to the stars and do, hundreds of millions in revenue and no one knows who I am and whatever, that's fine. But I think anything that you can do as a founder to lean into your brand and your story can only be helpful.
I love that. And I think as well, the thing that CleanCo has done, because it's quite innovative that you saw that gap really early, because I'm personally really into my wellness and I'm not a drinker. And I think what those 0-0 style drinks have done is that it takes away that awkward moment when you're socializing, when you go, I actually don't want, and it's especially in Ireland, right? You don't want to say, I don't want to drink, because they're like, what's wrong with you?
He's here, but I would have quoted him anyway. You talk about naivety in business, and I could not have been more naive, right? I had zero idea what I was doing, zero. I just knew that I wanted to build an alcohol-free spirits company because there was just this gap, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. There was no data, no market, no competitors, zero. It's not like kind of developing a toothbrush that's trying to rival Oral-B because you're cooler than them. There was none of that. It was just this doesn't exist, right? And I need to explain to you why I think it could be a good thing for you to drink. It's hard. That's really hard.
Because you're changing habit.
Yeah. And the hundreds and the thousands of brands that followed is just luck, really. We're delighted that we have loads of competition, that our markets erupted around what we're doing. We were the first brand in the world to bring a portfolio of alcohol-free spirits to market. Seedlip existed before us. We're the first person to do gin, whiskey, rum, tequila. Now loads of people do it, but that's great,
But I think it was also when that there's a bigger mission behind just one company, that it's actually changing the ways people are socializing. That's really exciting as well.
It's interesting, but it's also not linear. The fact that it was new and fresh is also a massive disadvantage. I think it worked here because we had a bit of a following and done some TV, and Vogue is very popular. So we were able to reach a few people. Then it did quite well. The numbers were good, and then all of a sudden we're in retail markets, which maybe we wouldn't have been if it wasn't for the TV stuff. Yeah. That's maybe the bet that they took. It's well, he has a social following, so he can sell this stuff. Maybe in the States, we had a shocker. We launched into 44 states $6 million of stock bought up front by the biggest distribution company in all of America, sat on shelf, rotted, turned into a liability, very nearly killed the business. So had it been fronted by Ryan Reynolds, we'd be billionaires. but it wasn't, right? There was
personal brand, though.
Exactly, but we were so early there. They're behind where we are with this kind of stuff. We were so early there that literally the cost of educating that many people, and I don't mean educating like telling people what they should do. I mean literally just having people understand what it is that you're selling is so expensive because there's so many touch points. It's like very, very difficult. And we learned the hard way. Spent a lot of money, which resulted in no sales. It was a nightmare. Took us ages to recover from that, actually. We're now in a great place again. But yeah, it's none of it is easy.
I think that's the thing as well, is sometimes when you do have public profile, you don't see those lower moments. I think people are starting to share more online about the actual founder journey. Like founder-led content is becoming so much more popular and you get to see the highs and lows. What was that one lesson from your first year of business that you would warn me about, or anybody here in this room?
There's a lesson every year.
Okay. Let's start year one.
Oh, year one, yeah. So month 3, after we launched, so we ordered like 1,200 units in our first drop, which I thought was going to last us for a whole season. It was going to last us ages. It was gone in about 20-30 minutes. So obviously I didn't anticipate how strong my following were going to support the brand. And at the time I had around 300,000 followers, and I thought, if even 10% of them bought something, which I think they did. So obviously we then went, right, we'll order more stock. We ended up getting a fulfillment center because we were planning on fulfilling all the orders from our house. That obviously became too big once we saw the amount, like you said, you have no idea what you're doing. We ordered all this stock and then we were like, how much stock is that on pallets? And then we were like, those pallets are not going to fit in the house. So then we need a fulfillment center. This is on the way, like this stuff is on a ship. So we got a fulfillment center, again, typical kind of Irish thing. Someone in our neighborhood was like, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy. I was like, cool, yeah, brilliant. We plugged into his system. The whole thing went tits up so fast. We went live and we oversold by 6,000 orders in about 3 hours. And so we saw all this money coming in on Shopify and I was like, oh, wow. And then it got up to like 600 grand, 700 grand. And I was like, we didn't even have that much stock. So we were ringing our IT guy, going, shut the website down. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to work websites. I don't know how to stop this now. Basically, their system wasn't updating fast enough. So every time someone bought something, it was replanning the site. So it was just selling stock we didn't have. So we oversold by 6,000 orders, which we had to then manually refund on Shopify individually, one by one. Honestly, I think I cried in bed for about a solid day, and then I was like, right, I need to get my shit together. We need to do this, fix it. And I remember thinking, that's it. We're never going to recover from that. And especially when you are an influencer, and a lot of people like to hate influencers as well, you get annihilated online for it. So I had people being like, that was my bus money that you've taken, and now it won't come back in my account for 3 to 5 days, and I can't feed my kids. Like, it was chaotic. And I remember thinking, So I remember thinking, no one's going to come back to the site. But anyway, we got there in the end. We fixed the problem. We offered everyone a discount code that was refunded. We offered them a discount code for the next drop and gave them a 24-hour pre-access. And thankfully they have come back. But like that, I remember thinking, this is it, we're done. We may as well just pack it in now. Because
reputationally.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I was traumatized, absolutely traumatized from it. But again, just on Google going how to fix this problem. Like AI wasn't even around then, so I was just trying to figure it out as you go along. But I think that's business though as well.
Oh my God. What about
Sounds
you
like
guys?
you have quite a good business.
It was a good problem to have.
Yeah. That's all right.
Your first kind of big fire that you just couldn't put out.
Well, I really want to give value, right? So I could tell. So how do I spin it in a way?
Just tell the truth, brother.
Well, I want to listen. When I started business, we made so many mistakes, and I could go through all of them, like between cash and picking the wrong lawyers and all these different things. But I think there are 2 things which I realised, right? So first, you have to remove ego. That's the first thing. And I actually have this whole theory, which actually I posted on LinkedIn today, which is who thinks their boss should have therapy? Put your hand up. Yeah, right. And some of you are probably sitting next to your boss, right? So you can't put your hand up, right? This is the whole point. And the truth is, right, is because as a founder, as a business leader, you have to be a complete psychopath. You have to be crazy to do it. And this whole narrative to be like a founder is like, you've got to be a founder to be successful. It's just totally untrue. Actually, the team of experts are the real heroes, right? So I think what I should have done at the very beginning is realize very quickly, have therapy, realize very quickly what I'm good at and what I'm bad at, right? And when I started the business, I thought I was great at everything. I thought I was great at reading a P&L. I didn't know the difference between gross and net until like 6 years ago. I was like, what the hell is that? So I think for me, the most important thing is realizing very quickly, you know what you're good at. Understand that, but very quickly understand what you're bad at. And when you know what you're bad at, hire people in straight away who are better than you and remove ego. You know, we just spoke about raising money. I actually think when we talk about raising capital, I think it's a negative thing. Because it's basically like saying, like, I have a £30 million mortgage. But people shout and scream about it. It's actually just debt, in a way, right? So I think we should have to remove ego and just realize very quickly what you're bad at. And I think that's the thing that I would teach myself, if anything.
I love that.
Yeah.
What about you, Spencer?
Rushing.
Yeah.
Just like having to be bigger, having to grow, having to drive the number up, having to be valued higher, having to raise more money. Like, you know, just the numbers had to be massive. Having to try to become a £1 billion drinks brand in 3 years. Fucks everything. It like literally, if you don't, sorry, excuse the language.
But that's ego, right?
Yeah, but like, it's, I don't know, because you see it happening around you from times, you know, whatever. For competitive people, I was going to say like us, but like us, like me, like you, like me, you know, like when you start to, there was nothing more exciting and exhilarating for me than the thing going well initially, right? Like becoming an entrepreneur, chucking your hat in the ring, like, and you know, becoming really deeply obsessed with it. I love the psychopath thing, by the way. You know, I have a Am I a Psychopath show coming out soon, which is you should all watch because it's interesting. The result is quite shocking, and literally, but I loved it. I loved it so much to the point where it really had a detrimental effect on my marriage type thing. I just wasn't expecting it to, because I replaced drinking with this, right? And I was like the first guy in, the last guy out, just obsessed with building this thing. And for me, I didn't build, we changed the brand like 3 or 4 times, right? Whenever we've felt like it could be cooler or different. And I rushed it. Like just flinging stuff at walls, hoping something would stick.
You changed the look of it?
Changed the look, changed the feel, changed everything. Yeah, we've knocked 40% out of the cost of goods of stuff, completely rebranded 3 times. You know, like I was desperate to get the thing on a shelf, right? So from having the idea to being on shelf was about 10 months. And I was alone for 7 of those months. I was flying and driving to distilleries on my own, asking like people to help me create the world's first non-alcoholic gin. Seedlip existed, was the only other brand. They're not a gin. They're made with bark and peas and stuff. I think it's amazing, but then they're not a gin. And we wanted to be a gin, right? Or I wanted to be a gin at the time. And I was just obsessed. I was just gone. I was gone. I was in the clouds. I was just driving this thing. And then brought in a partner, to Jamie's point, somebody that understood beverage and somebody that understood business. He brought an A3 sheet of paper to our first meeting and literally just like designed a business plan. And I was like, you're in. Like I could never do that. I still couldn't do that, right? And he was like, we need these people. We need at least 3 people. We need this person to do this person to do that, this person to do that. I'll be chairman, you be CEO and founder. Like, this is how it's going to work. I want 10% of the business. I said, done. 3 weeks later, it was 18. Because but still, you know, it was just exciting and interesting and fun and cool. And like, I'm particularly effective in those early stages, right? Where like all of the enthusiasm and the drive like comes from. And then, you know, not to disagree with what Jamie said, we did the big shiny deal, right? With the like extreme experts, the people that have ran billion-dollar companies. Like this person ran AB InBev, this person was the CEO of Moet Hennessy, this person runs, you know, a $1 billion fund. And all of a sudden they were like, right, we're going to do this big launch in the States and we're going to run the thing. And they just messed it up, like, because they can't run a startup. It's different. Like being agile, being nimble, like fixing problems in real time is not something that the CEO of Moet Hennessy knows how to do, right? He had 4,000 employees. Yeah. He goes, this is wrong, fix it, you know? Fix who? You know, like he's not doing it.
And this is all in your first year?
No, this was in year 3.
Okay.
But you know, sorry, you asked first.
No,
year?
no.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to get a timeline of like from that.
Just Russia.
Yeah.
We did a couple of £1 million of turnover in our very first year in a market that didn't exist, and it was amazing. We were easily able to raise money. Like we raised 7 million the following year in like no time at all. Yeah. And you know, these people are buying shares in your company, right? So it's not debt to the business. It's you know it's a risk for them. But they, you know, things used to be quite easy, and then we did some bad deals, and things became complicated for us. But you know, and by the way, I'm only sharing this because I think it's interesting to share the things that go wrong. I mean, it's easy to sit here and list all of my wins.
Yeah.
I just think it's complicated and it's hard. We talk about this stuff all the time. Jamie and I call each other, and we just say like, fucking that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's draining and it's hard. And like, you know, we'll probably both get there in the end. But it's kind of it's complicated. It's difficult.
I think there's
so many mistakes. It's, you know.
Yeah, I think there's so much value in founders that are willing to say this is what went wrong, and just be careful and watch out for this, because when you can identify those like traits in yourself, like you're saying, like definitely I know what I'm not. I know the bits that I'm not good at, and it's like actually I can't waste time.
If a deal sounds too good to be true,
it is
as well. Like this thing was literally like a jetpack from heaven. And like, but like to be fair, like the private equity money came in, the venture capitalists were happy, like everyone was delighted. Ursula Burns, the first black female CEO of a Fortune 500 company, is our chair. We were all delighted with it, and then it just went, you know, and it was just like, wow, like nobody saw that coming, you know. So anyway, unpredictable.
I'd love to talk about content and the value of content. So firstly,
he loves a bit of content.
Okay, so. We'll start with Fourth Arc. You just did a documentary. Yes. What is the decision behind doing a long form piece of content rather than just your Instagram and social media pages?
I didn't want to do it, being honest. They first approached me, a guy that we work with, a young guy, and he had never done a documentary before, and he said, look, I think this story is really interesting. Can we follow you around and record for a couple of months? And I was like, absolutely not. My life is way too boring for that. I don't really want camera. The whole point was to start a business, so I wasn't in front of the camera. But anyway, I said, look, let's do it for a month, and then you show me what comes back. And if it's not too self-indulgent and it's about the business and not just about following me around, then I'll consider it. And he did film with us for a month, and the content was actually really nice. It was kind of more about the business and like that, the ups, the downs, the bits that people don't see. Because in the moment of a shitstorm in work, the last thing I think of doing is picking up my phone and telling everybody about it. You're just trying to fix it, especially when you've staff as well, and you're trying to hold it together for them, and you're thinking of they're paying mortgages and you're paying their salaries, and there's a lot of weight on your shoulders. So you really don't want to tell them how bad things can be at times as well. But this documentary was kind of more about the creative side and about the content side. So it came on photo shoots. We do our photo shoots all over the world. We've been in marble quarries in Italy. We don't like to make it easy because I like to push the brand and really see it do more than just studio shoots that we do as well. But I like to do big campaigns. And he kind of followed us around, and I thought, you know, it's an interesting piece of content for people to see behind the scenes. And what I did was I sent the trailer to kind of close families and friends and just said, would you guys watch something like this? Or like, because my family would be dead honest and go, this is shit, don't do this. I have no interest in watching. And they were like, no, this, like, I'd love to see the behind the scenes. So that piece of content, I think, is also so important in terms of branding, in terms of storytelling for a brand. I think storytelling, like you were talking about earlier on, people buy into people, and people buy into a story of a person quicker than they will a particular product. So founder stories are really, really important. And just telling the story, even of your team or whatever's going on behind the scenes. I think a lot more brands are showing behind the scenes now and showing the day-to-day. I think Sheerlooks do it really well, where they kind of show the office and just the day-to-day, what people are wearing in the office, instead of that kind of polished content. But the content fatigue, I think, is the biggest thing, because we used to do these campaigns and think that's going to be content for 3 months, and within 4 weeks the customer was bored. They were like, seen that model, don't want to see it anymore, no engagement. So we were spending all this money, had loads of content, and it just wasn't hitting. So we've had to break it up now and do big campaigns more regularly, smaller campaigns, UGC, influencer. It's a bit of everything. People are, you see how we are and scrolling on TikTok, like your attention is just gone so fast. I do think there's a switch back to long form. Yeah, I think YouTube, longer form documentaries they're really good. And I think people want to delve into things a little bit deeper than what we get on the regular platforms. But like that, it's just constantly, everything is content. I know it sounds really cheesy, but like everything you do can be content. If you just put the phone up and record. I don't love doing it, but I think I know what I'm not good at. I am an influencer, but I've hired a team of, social media managers who will capture that content. When I'm thinking of what's going on in the business, they're behind the scenes capturing it all, and that's what tells the story.
I think long form allows you to get vulnerable, because I think sometimes when you're vulnerable in a short spurt, it can come across, it doesn't feel right, where sometimes longer storytelling, you can get really into the nitty gritty, and the audience and your customers will be more engaged in that way. And you see it also with podcast trends, especially in the wellness space. Female health is the number one trending topic. I'm actually curious with you guys, not so much female, but with the podcasting. How do you divvy up, like, how does it affect your businesses with your, say, for example, your Instagram videos versus the podcasting, and what that has affect? Just different content forms, and how does it affect? What do you see driving sales, not driving sales? What's brand building?
I feel like you're talking to him.
You can take
no,
it back.
both.
Okay. I'm interested in hearing like from experts. Like I love people who know what they're talking about. Like I find that really interesting, and they can talk about anything. I'm a really curious person. What I don't love is being hooked into some garbage that I then regret watching. Right. So I'm not the best person to talk to about social media. I don't have Instagram on my phone. I found that I was wasting a huge amount of time, not in a productive way, like not a kind of I'm so busy that I don't have time for Instagram. I was just losing time to Instagram, and it works, right? It hooks you in. Like back in the good old days, you would Google something that you want to see or learn, about, and you'd be presented with that information. And listen, we can't turn back time, right? So it's pointless rambling about it, but I enjoyed that, right? If I look at something like I want to see what some Patek Philippe looks like, right? I'd have a look at it, and then I wouldn't be served, 18 Hublots as well, right? I just want to see the thing that I want to see. So I don't know. I find short form content, and I'm delighted that you think it's going out, irritating. And like we work really hard sometimes to try to hook people in, and I kind of feel like a bit of a dinosaur with it. Like I'm really bad at it. Firstly, like I'm not good at it. I don't enjoy it. I find that we can waste loads of money like trying to do stuff that then doesn't land, it doesn't work, because you're vying for the attention of people that don't perhaps understand that you've made an effort. It's not. I prefer YouTube actually. I find like if you create something that's 20 minutes long, I don't even care if that many people watch it, because I know that the people who are watching it hopefully like it and enjoy it and resonate with it, and they're the most likely people, I think. And I could be completely wrong to go and buy a product, in my opinion. Like with Untapped, for example, we've basically become a running show. And I love running. It was all about human potential and incredible experiences. Like I interviewed Jamie when he ran his 5 ultra marathons, and I've interviewed like a lot of people who have done extraordinary things. But the stuff that would really resonate was running, and nerdy running stuff, running shoes, running data, heart rates, like all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think people would care about, but they do, right? Running's become this incredible thing, and hopefully it will become a vehicle for CleanCo as well. CleanCo running, we're launching RTDs soon, we're ready to drink canned cocktails, and it's a really exciting time for the business. But to come back to the content, when I flick onto something and it's like a Stephen Scullion, who's an Irish marathoner, talking in detail about why running means something to him. He said that chipping away at a running goal stays with you for life. It's not like building a business or a brand that you can then sell and you've got all this money that you can then spend, right? He said that if you're looking to get faster or to cover interesting distances in your life, you can work to a plan and become a disciplined person, and everything in your life will be affected positively by the fact that you're becoming a better runner. You'll want to show up for it. You're disciplined. You're probably going to go to bed early. You'll probably drink less alcohol. You're taken by a goal that's really exciting and interesting. And he just said, nobody can take it from you. And when I come across a really amazing runner, I think disciplined, dedicated, like someone that sticks to a goal, someone that works really, really hard, someone that cares about themselves, someone that cares about their health, someone that probably cares about like showing up for people. Like it says a lot to me. And anyway, I've kind of gone off piece, but I think that it's exciting, and I like content like that I can kind of feel moved by. Me too. I don't love watching crap on Instagram. Anyway, here you go.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. Okay. So this is how so content, right? Like we can talk about lots of content. So content, firstly, I sort of agree that like we're getting fatigued by content. Are we fatigued by scrolling? We are, right? But actually podcasts have been around for a while, which has always been long form. So it's just been in different areas. Now, when it comes to content, I actually think we're actually bored of experts saying, get up at 5 a.m. and bench press 100 kgs and have an ice bath and put your money in crypto. Most people are like, shut up, we don't care anymore. We don't want to see that. What people want to see is like sheer lux, right? They want to see content behind the scenes, the real people, the experts. We don't want to see Lewis Hamilton now driving the car. We want to see the back room, what goes in there. That's the content that businesses need to start making. And then coupled with that, I think the best people, the best brands which are making great content are like people like Rode. Rode is doing so great. Like a pop-up shop in the Alps or where they did in the ski resort. That's amazing, right? That's so good. That's really good. Aloe just hired a yacht and they got loads of people on it. That's fucking cool. Like, you kidding me? It's so aspirational. Poppy, the soda brand, right? Poppy, the soda brand. Like, what I really can't stand is when brands try and be Gen Z when they're not. And they're like, hey, girlie. They're like, what? It's like a 80-year-old white man who's like saying this. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? It's so annoying. But what Poppy did so cleverly is they went to Alex Earl, said, you are our customer, right? You are. You're the person who's going to drink this. What do you want to do? And she went, well, I'm going to Coachella. Said, right, we're going to give you money. You can hire a house, bring all your friends there, make content. That's just left her to do it.
You're just talking about good campaigns.
I'm talking about good content, right?
They're good ideas.
No, that's great content. It's not good ideas. It's good because it's not a campaign. They're saying, here's the money, go and do it. Go and make the content yourself for our brand. That's amazing. Yeah. Like Sheerlux allow their employees to make the content for them. Now their employees are famous, right? They're not saying, here's a campaign. People aren't saying, what are your KPIs? They're just saying, go and create. Those businesses are doing the best content.
Like activations have become content pieces on their own.
100%.
So what are the activations outside of social media, like in-person ones that you are all finding is really valuable to your business? What are you doing?
Well, for example, with Candy Kittens, I think collaboration is a big thing at the moment, right? So we are looking to collaborate with loads of different people the whole time. So Wimbledon's coming up. So we're going to be collaborating with a big tennis player, right? And an old school tennis player. That's kind of fun. So it hits into nostalgia. It also is fun and exciting and different. So I think collaborations and seeing people in different spaces, that's fun, right? If you're making sweets, you don't want to see someone who also loves eating sweets in your campaign. You want to see someone totally different because you go, oh, that's different. There's a guy called Nico Omalana. He's a great YouTuber. He's part of Beta Squad. He has a business called Shades, which actually Tuck Shop and other businesses, that's what helped grow it, right? And he's just done a collaboration with Bruno Fernandez. It's unbelievable. Guys should go and check it out. It is unbelievable, the content, and it's a collaboration piece. It just works seamlessly. So that for me is collaboration.
Activations. We're still in a position being a leading independent brand that can really disrupt, right? So we can say and do things that big brands can't. Like most of our competitors are alcohol-free versions of famous alcohol brands. So they're all owned by Diageo and, so they can't have a huge amount of fun. It's a kind of like, what do they say? Shall we have a Tanqueray on this lovely lawn? That's the marketing. And Tanqueray doesn't need amazing disruptive marketing because they're Tanqueray. So I don't know. You want a specific example? We've got this idea that essentially if you have bad behavior, you should own it because you want it, not because you're drunk, right? So we're calling them do's and don'ts, which I quite like. It's the kind of idea of, it's kind of like Oatly old school words on a wall, right? It's not like even short form content. And it can be obviously short form content, although I think it looks better written because it draws you in. I find that whenever I have anything meaningful to say, if I write it and post it, people engage with it more because firstly, they assume it's serious, right? So they read it. And secondly, it holds you and you end up reading it instead of me going, hey guys, I hope you're all having a nice day. Like you're gone already. So we're doing this do's and don'ts thing, which I love. It's like, don't kiss your boyfriend's dad because you're drunk. Do it because he's better looking and has all the money. Which I find great, right? So if I saw that on the tube, not that I take the tube that often, but if I did take the tube, which I used to every day, but if I saw that on the tube, I would, I am relatable, yeah. I would laugh at that. and inherently, I would like that brand, right? Like, I remember drinking loads of Oatly before, and this isn't a dig at Oatly, before realizing that, you know, I probably shouldn't be drinking huge quantities of oat milk. I loved Oatly because they're funny, right? And they're just amusing. And every single time I'd see an Oatly ad, I'd go, I really like that brand. So, like, we're going to lean into a bit of humor.
I love that.
I think, and you know, with a slight nod, because I think we don't need to be the brand that says alcohol's shit for you. I think everybody knows that, right? It's kind of, I think, to have a bit of fun, playful behavior, we like a bit of that.
Amazing. I love that, and I think also you can get away with that when you're a founder-led business, and when things get too big, then there's kind of red tape on everything. And with us, obviously, because our product is online and it's predominantly kind of casual wear, pop-ups are massive for us, so that they're actually getting their hands on the product. They're not having to just order it online and then return. So any sort of pop-ups work really, really well for us. We have launched with Next in the UK. So talking about things not working, we tried to launch into the UK ourselves, kind of pushing influencer marketing, and we lost a bomb in the first year. So we quickly reeled that back in and said, right, that's not working. Who can we partner with in the UK that is established here already, so that it's building that brand trust? And so we just launched into Next in the UK, and we've done an event with them, kind of invited press and stuff, but it's getting on the ground with customers for us because we're an online brand. They want to be able to touch, feel, try on. So any sort of activation where they can do that, and without it being too pushy and salesy. I think when people feel like you're pushing something on them, instantly the customer backs away. So we try and do an event where they get something out of it. There's, you know, there's food, there's drink, there's no obligation to buy, and you give back to the customer. So giving them, whether it's a voucher or something that they can go away and buy in their own time. Because I do think those kind of pushy sales type events just don't work anymore.
I couldn't agree more. That is like 100%. Yeah.
No, I agree too. And you've just launched in America.
We've
So
launched
do I.
in Nordstrom.
I also agree.
It'd be interesting if you just didn't agree. That would be way
Yeah,
more interesting.
yeah.
We
Wait.
just launched into Nordstrom in the last kind of couple of weeks. Again, dipping our toe into the US. It's a huge market, and you can easily be swallowed up. So we're definitely going kind of slowly into that market. But again, partnering with someone that already has that brand reputation. If we just went in ourselves, people won't trust you, you know.
I'd love to talk about the decision-making process for, like, say, for example, going from E4 to, like, Disney, for example. Like, that's a big, you know, how do you see that affecting do you see an effect on businesses? Can you track that? Because there is a
I feel like you're talking to him, but I did it
both.
first.
You both have. You both have.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can take it.
Do you want to take it?
No.
Okay, well, I get an interesting point, right? So, when Made in Chelsea won a BAFTA, okay, for like best structured reality or whatever it is, and Made in Chelsea, me and Spec, we never cheered so much. And we're like, oh my fucking yeah!
Couldn't believe it.
Couldn't believe it. We think I got on stage, right, and I looked into the audience and I saw like Idris Elba and Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch all looking back at us, and they were looking embarrassed.
Yeah. They were literally disgusted.
And I suddenly realised
We don't belong here.
in that moment that we were not cool. Big shock. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is not so
Alan
good.
Sugar.
Yeah, it was not great. It was not great. So, but I love this world of entertainment, and doing Made in Chelsea was a shortcut into this amazing industry, right, of the entertainment world. The problem is when you take a shortcut in life, whatever that is, in business, in relationships, in anything, there's always a long road you have to take afterwards. Doesn't matter. So I always encourage people never take a shortcut, because there'll always be a long road. And the transition to go from Made in Chelsea to Disney was because I think most founders, and I think most people in this room, we have some sort of chip in our shoulder, some sort of itch. Maybe it's making our parents proud. Maybe it's because we were bullied at school. Maybe it's because we asked that girl to go out with us and they said no and their friends laughed at us. Whatever it could be, anything, right? And I think my itch was probably to be taken seriously. I think because I'd taken this shortcut. And so I went and did Radio 1 to try and elevate myself. And then my whole aim was to get on one of the streamers, to get on Disney. Because E4 is basically the little sister to Channel 4. And I remember Rob Beckett, the comedian, said to me, you've completed E4 now. You've completed it. And I was like, I don't think I have. No one's given me anything. So to get the Disney show was because I think I wanted to elevate myself and people to see me in a light were like, oh, wait, hang on, that feels premium. And that for me was important.
Yeah, similar. So you can't really track it. Disney also are quite protective of figures, although obviously they will give you your own figures type thing under sort of NDA. But look, what Jamie said, it elevates you for sure. Like being on a big streamer, a Netflix or Disney is obviously, to us, to people who came from lowly E4, no one's from E4, are they? From
Spain's documentary. Did you see that one, Finding Michael?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's very kind of you all. Thank you. So, I think it's interesting, isn't it? For a period, obviously, a lot of people would talk to me and still do talk to me about Finding Michael, but it doesn't change that every single time I get in a black cab. It's like, all right, mate, how's Millie? It's like I don't know. Why would I know how Millie is? But it's so Made in Chelsea will kind of always be with us, like regardless of how hard some of us try and shake it. And again, it's not like. I also look back at Made in Chelsea as an amazing opportunity and a really interesting thing to have done at the time. As I said, it was a kind of toxic thing for me at the end. But yeah, I think, depending on how you look at content now, streamers are certainly probably a more premium place to be, in my opinion. As for it having a knock-on effect on the brands, I have another Disney film coming out later this year about the Project 7 thing that we did for James's Place. I did 7 Ironmans in all 7 continents in 21 days for awareness and funds for male mental health and suicide prevention. And that's also kind of under. Oh God, I always say the wrong thing. Anyway, that's coming out later this year, but I'm not supposed to say that. Anyway, so that's on Disney. And the cool thing about that is, we traveled the world to do it. So there's a bit of Australia, there's a bit of Antarctica, there's a bit of America. We're in Dubai, we're in Perth. So that's a more global appealing thing anyway, right? Than some of the stuff that I've done before. Very much hoping that there's some pickup in the States that has a positive knock-on effect on CleanCo. Almost impossible to quantify that. Yeah. It's like really difficult to do that. Were the thing to blow up in America, that would be amazing. But the chances of that happening are 5%. It's just you're kind of always dealing on a national basis. So they're different teams completely. It will sit in like 200 countries, I think, but it'll be marketed here. Yeah. So you can come across it on Hulu in the States, but they're not going to put any ad spend behind it in America. They're not going to put me on US sofas to go and talk about it unless I pay for it. It's a good idea, isn't it?
Are you a producer on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Executive producer.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Very nice.
well done. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's brilliant.
Anyway.
Rosie,
There we go.
I wasn't on E4 or any TV.
Yes. And good for you. You seem to be doing better than both of us put together. Yeah.
I have a question about fourth art's aesthetic.
Yeah.
So if you were to, when you wanted to stand on its own kind of world building look, what are the visual cues that you always want to hit with what you're doing, what the message you're putting across?
I think being an influencer and also an Irish influencer, there was definitely the one thing I wanted to lean away from. And I love being Irish, but I didn't want it to be a little Irish brand or to look like an Irish brand. We don't mention being Irish at all in any of our, branding, website, any of that.
Can I ask why?
Because in my eyes, a lot of Irish brands just became Irish brands and that was it. They never went global. And I felt like to be taken serious outside of Ireland, which has taken us a long time to get to that point, I didn't want to lean into that kind of, I just found it a bit cringe, to be totally honest with you. And I love being Irish, but there can be cringy sides and you probably are aware of it through.
I think it had limitations.
It did, yeah, I think so. I think, especially in the UK, I'm like, I don't think saying you're Irish is going to do you any favours. Whereas maybe in America, in Nordstrom, they wanted us to talk about being Irish. We were like, no, absolutely not, because that's not our market. But just in terms of visuals, we always wanted to look not Irish. So we actually have never used an Irish model in any of our content. We want someone to look at it and not know where it's from. Is it the US? Is it Europe? That it stands on its own 2 feet. I've never been in any of the campaigns either. That was something I was really kind of conscious of, that again, a lot of influencer brands start as the influencer being the face of the brand, and it's very hard to get away from that. So I wanted to not put myself in that role to begin with. I also didn't put my name on it because in my head, the dreamer in me was like, if someone wants to come along down the line and buy the brand, I would be selling my name off with it as well. I always think of Jo Malone and her story. And so again, the kind of the dreamer part of me was like, maybe down the line, if someone wanted to come and buy the brand, at least I can sell it off as its own entity. And now we have people, like I've sat across the tables from people wearing it and they haven't a clue who I am. And I'm like, that to me was the goal all along. And my next goal is to get the followers of a brand above mine, and then I'm retiring. I'm done.
Cool.
I love that. I love that.
That's wicked.
I love that.
Thereby Vogue just got into trouble with Vogue.
Really?
Yeah, with the magazine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway.
What's
So-
her name? Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a strange one.
Spencer, you've obviously raised money and gone through the whole investment journey. Was there ever a moment that you walked away going, actually, values aren't aligned here? Or
It's illegal to do that. So no, but honestly.
no, prior to the
Do you mean have you ever raised money?
when you're raising, do they have to be aligned at the same values, or are you just like,
Is that just cash?
yeah,
Sorry. You mean has the money ever just been cash instead of kind of being aligned to the values of the brand?
exactly.
I think most people who've invested in us are aligned with the brand.
Yeah.
Whether or not they play a part in helping us grow the brand is something else. Some are silent investors. Well, not silent. We know who they are, obviously, but they don't do anything for the brand. Smaller tickets certainly don't have any kind of particular say or access to the brand. Lots of them, though, are my friends, and obviously, if they wanted to say something, they can obviously just call me. But no, we've never taken on kind of money where the investor themselves doesn't feel some connection to the brand. We would, though.
That was my question.
Yeah. Just if, yeah.
If you need the money, you need the money.
Would it? Is the question essentially? Would it bother me to take money off someone who's just making an investment?
I think I know the answer.
No. Invest away.
That's the psychopath of it.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie. I want to talk about, you were acquired and you have a really strong role in other brands that you're acquiring now as part of that wider group, right? You've acquired Graze.
Yeah.
What are you going to be like a nutritional? What is your day-to-day role in that wider group?
Yeah.
And then what's the dream?
What's the North Star? So I started Candy Kittens 14 years ago. If you haven't had it, it's like the most delicious vegan confectionery brand in the world.
They are very good.
They're very good. Thank you very much. They're here. Anyway, so we built it up and we partnered with our manufacturers, a company called Catchers, right? So they have a good stake in us, right? But my business partner and I still, it's a partnership, right? And the advantage of that is that they're just amazing at manufacturing. 53% of German businesses are still family run. It's like incredible, right? It's insane, right? So they have this whole idea of you build for generations, which is amazing. We acquired Graze from Unilever, which is a really exciting purchase because it has 85% awareness. I was talking about it earlier within the UK, which is kind of mad. Unilever, if something's not growing more than 6%, 5-6%, it's not really worth their time. So we saw a huge advantage in taking it on, right? We understand the snacking place. We loved Graze. I found that such an inspirational brand with a subscription and all those different things. So we took that on. But in life, I have BHAGs, right? Which are big, hairy, audacious goals. And I think we should all have them, right? Something that wakes up in the morning and go, that's what I'm going to go and do. And they have to be wild. Something that's really unattainable. They could be, your unattainable could be different. It could be running 7 Ironmans. I could never do that, right? That could be your BHAG. I have 2 BHAGs. One is to host the Oscars one day. That's it, right? A crazy dream, probably never happened, but that's my North Star. And the other one is to buy back McVitie's, which was my business that my great-great-grandfather started and built, right? Those are my 2 BHAGs. So for Candy Kittens Group, we want to build it like LVMH. We want to acquire different businesses, but really keep that startup nature with the end goal to acquire back McVitie's.
So you're going for McVitie's. That's the
100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's talk about legacy a little bit. How has your founder journey fundamentally changed your character from the beginning to who you are now? So I think you kind of touched on it, Spencer, you've kind of channeled your obsession into something that's really amazing, really.
Yeah, I used to be accused of kind of swapping alcohol for business, or swapping alcohol, or my obsession or addiction with alcohol for running, say. I would take that trade every day. Yeah. That is swapping something that's inherently toxic. My relation, not alcohol, I've got no issue with. I drink alcohol, I albeit quite sparingly. I would never judge anyone that drinks alcohol. I'm talking about, I had issues with alcohol. You know, I would drink very early in the morning. I would lie to people that I love about whether or not I'd had a drink. You know, it was having a really negative, like crap effect on my life, right? So that's what I'm talking about. And then I became really into health and fitness and building a brand and running a lot. And I you know, swapping the bad for the good, in my opinion, is something we should all strive to do. If you have something that you know is bad and you're being honest with yourself and you're understanding that you're not, that, you know, that there is a speed bump in your life that, you know, you could do something about, then replace it with something good.
So you are fundamentally changed from the very beginning of CleanCo to now?
Yeah, completely. It's hard to establish what drives that aside from also just growing up, right? Like we spent a lot of time with our public lives kind of in, you know, being exposed when we were pretty young. I think I was 21 or 20, you know, when we started Made in Chelsea. Sometimes people come up to me in the street, in fact, most days, and say, oh, you're that guy from Made in Chelsea. And I'm like, that's 15 years ago, like 14 years ago, you know, started. So it's a long time ago. I think a lot happens in 15 years in most people's lives. Responsibility is a big thing. I had none then, right? I didn't care if I destroyed myself in the evening and, you know, said something that I couldn't remember or hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't care. I was quite a selfish person. You know, I didn't have any responsibility. I was only looking after myself, right? So now that I have 3 kids, you know, we were laughing earlier about parenting, and, you know, Vogue was on Lorraine this morning. My kids like their eggs, all 3 of them, differently. So, you know, you're in the kitchen kind of like trying to get your coffee on, you know, boiling eggs, flipping omelets, you know, putting toast on. Otto doesn't like this kind of toast. You know, I'm like a trained chef nowadays. And you know, these kids are they're your priority. That you're raising them, right? So of course, lots of people in here will be parents. I'm not trying to make a huge thing out of parenting, but soon as when you become a parent, I think your life changes a lot, right? So my sobriety stint began when Vogue was pregnant, right? Because there's a big light shone on me essentially because we would have a lot of fun together, and then all of a sudden she's pregnant, so I'd be drinking alone, and then it was kind of like, do you need to be drinking alone? And you know, and it just became this thing. So yeah, look, the change between me now and then, I couldn't run a kilometre then. You know, walking up a single flight of stairs would have had me stitched and you know, sweating and you know, now obviously I'm not a bad runner. You know, I think there's been a lot of change. So I've changed a lot. I don't know whether or not founding the business has been the main driver of that, but it's certainly an amazing kind of reality check and something that holds you accountable. Like having lots of people working for you as well is a big change in my life as opposed to being an employee. Building Untapped is a very special thing to me as well. I absolutely love Untapped. Like I love podcasting. I love the people I interview. I'm really friendly with people outside of interviewing them now. Like a lot of the people I see all the time are my podcast guests, you know, because I'm deeply inspired by them. And I hope that the show does that for the listener. You know, that's what I mean by expert, by the way. I don't mean some bloke like telling you to get up at 4 and, you know, do whatever, you know, barking orders at you. I mean people who really understand their craft, you know, who really have been changed by becoming incredible at something. And it's that quiet satisfaction of chipping away at a goal over time that is really valuable, I think. And I gain a lot from those conversations. So that didn't answer your question.
No, it did, because I think it's really important to be able to look back.
We both are mentally ill. I don't know if you've known. Like you can ask us anything, and we'll just talk. We'll just give you the answer to something else. So hopefully that was okay.
Jamie, do you want to talk about? I mean, you're a new dad now.
Yeah. Well, I just give it very quickly, right? So how have I changed from being a founder to now, right? Being a founder has changed me fundamentally because running a business, guys, is the hardest thing in the entire world. It truly is. It is so hard. And anyone who started a business, I'm just so impressed because firstly, 50% of success is just turning up, just starting it. That's the hardest thing. And then it's just continuing to do it. Look, it's the cheesy one, which is my idea of success has totally changed. And maybe that's because now I'm in a position where I can do that. Maybe I can think differently, but it used to be all the sort of hedonistic things, right? I wanted to make money and this and that and all those different things. And it's totally changed now. So the way that I value success is very simple. If my table is getting longer, I'm successful. And that is family, friends, colleagues, whoever it is, team. Every year I look, my table's got longer and then I'm successful. And so that's, for me, has changed massively. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I think similar in that I don't know if it's business that's changed me or I've just grown up as well. But I do think the one thing I've learned is not to be, I felt as a woman in business, I had to be really, really strong, really tough, kind of that boss energy that I'm not that naturally. And I felt when we started the business, I had to change myself in order to become a boss of the team that we have now. And I think through therapy and, just experiencing growing up, I've realized I can still be vulnerable, I can still cry, I can still find things hard, and I can still lead a team at the same time. So learning that your vulnerability doesn't have to be hidden away when you're, especially a woman in business, and you don't have to pretend to be super tough and super hard. You can still be feminine, be soft, and still lead a team as well.
I love that. Okay, guys, well, thank you. We're going to throw it out to a Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, do you want to raise your hand? Yeah. Can we get it? Do we have a mic for the Q&A?
And well hosted. That was so...
Very well done. Very well done.
Managing this ball.
You're just as bad, by the way. Useless.
Hi, thanks all for a great panel. I'm Natasha. I head up creator-led consumer brands and products for Stephen Bartlett and Flight Story. All of you were fairly ahead of the curve. Now we're seeing creative brands launch every single month. I'd love to hear from you guys what you think the next generation of creator-led product brands is going to look like, and what you think the defining factors will be of those that succeed and those that fail.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Oh.
Do you want to take it?
So I do think the younger generation now we were already talking about this at lunch earlier, myself and my husband. There was a girl just out filming TikToks and she was younger and she just didn't give a shit, basically. She was straight out filming on the street. They don't care as much. I think when I was an influencer in the beginning, I was mortified if anyone saw me getting my photos taken. So I do think the younger generation are just a little bit ballsier now, and it's normal to document your life, and it's not as cringe the way it was in the beginning. I do think brands that, again, are telling a story. Storytelling is huge when it comes to businesses. And I think what people are doing now is building an audience off their story, and then it'll evolve into maybe a product, a business, whatever that may be, whether it's a service business or a product. But I think it starts with storytelling and being human. And like you said earlier, AI can't take that from you. It's your personality and it's your personal brand. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, so pretty much exactly the same. Telling a story, building something around taking people on a journey. I think, whatever that might be. A kind of quick example is this Road to 245 thing that I'm doing with Stephen Scullion. He's teaching me how to be a better, more efficient, faster runner over a 6-month period. So every single day we're telling a story for the next, for a build up of quite a long time. We don't envisage selling anything at this stage, but we have a really engaged running audience who are just deeply paying attention to kind of everything, loads of people copying all of the sessions that we're doing. So, were we to do something, that would be a great way to authentically kind of, bring in an engaged audience, I suppose, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Also, what you guys are doing is great. It is. Sometimes you guys get some stick, but it's actually what you're doing is super good. Sometimes. Look, I think the next generation are going to be those who have that community, right? Which we're saying, right? The reason why. If you're a Liverpool fan, you go onto YouTube and you watch Mo Salah, well, not anymore, but you'd watch whoever dribble around cones, right? Because you just love Liverpool. Those content creators that have that community, that when they say turn left, they'll turn left. Those ones are going to be the next business owners, and they're going to be creating really interesting things. I think it'll be hard to create another Coca-Cola unless you're a content creator now. I generally think that. But that was a good question.
Hey guys, thank you for definitely being the most entertaining panel that I've come across and also inspiring at the same time.
Thank you.
This is a question that's tying in yes, we've been talking about creator-led marketing. When it comes to the business side, in very, very short, my business is something to do with helping capture stories from elders, right? So when it comes to doing that founder-led marketing, the thing that comes to mind is how much can I keep talking about that same kind of thing by putting myself out every day versus, yes, I know there's the bit of bring people inside to your own life, but say if your business is nothing to do with your personal life in that sense. Or to an element where it is, but it's not like my daily life. Like there's only so much I could talk about my own grandparents' story or the reason I find roots and culture so interesting. How do you keep that going where you keep getting told post every day?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Wait, let me understand that again. So you have your brand that you want to talk about, but you don't know how much to post about your personal brand because it's confusing. Just understand that?
Well, how much of my personal stuff? I can't think of 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year.
But I disagree with you. I think you could, right? Like 100%. You kidding me? Like the reason the people are so interesting. Like the one thing that I realized having done like podcasting, everything, and meeting, everyone has like an incredible story. Everyone has a boulder they're pushing up the hill. Everyone has like family issues or relationships or things which are positive and negative. And everyone relates to that. Like 100%. You'll be surprised how much you can talk about. And I think sometimes we get confused that we feel like we should be talking about lawnmowers when we have no idea about lawnmowers. Talk about stuff that you know, right? And you can talk about whatever, and people are interested. They really are. And also, I think people are bored of celebrities just running it you're probably bored of us now. Like if people with some sort of profile, we're bored of it. We want to hear real people. You want to hear real people and their real stories. I think that's what's interesting. So I would argue against you and say you probably have so many stories.
I think. Do you mean like selling it? So kind of like we make this. How do I say that every day?
Brand.
No, so he's saying that his brand has nothing to do with his personal life. So essentially, like I struggle with CleanCo sometimes because there's only so many times I can say kind of, this tastes amazing and it has like very few calories in it and it tastes just like skin. And if I did that every day, everyone's going to go, I fucking know, mate. I saw it yesterday. You know what I mean? So I understand what you mean. And again, not to talk about this for 245 thing, but every day is slightly different and you're kind of always chipping away at something. So were I to bring some of that I'm learning now, and I'm crap at social media, into CleanCo, I would have like different things that the business is trying to achieve be the kind of storyline, you know, like so that you're kind of chipping away at something. Like this week, we're aiming to get a listing in this bar, you know, and like this is what I'm doing about it. I'm going to go see this guy. I'm going to talk to this person, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, you end up getting the listing. People are happy because you got the listing, and then you move on to something else. So you're not only talking about, you know, what the brand is and what it stands for and why you should buy it, because I agree, that just gets incredibly boring when someone's just selling you something. So again, I'm shit at this and I don't do it for CleanCo, but what I should do for CleanCo is just take people on a bit more of a journey of the brand. Like we're going to some bar covenant in Brooklyn. We should put that all over the place. Just like, this is what we're launching, this is how we're doing it, this is fun, you know, we're chucking a run in the morning, whatever. Just like take people on a journey of the brand build, I think would be a better way of doing stuff. Which I do not do, but might do. Thank you. Yeah.
Just on that, with wellness stories, what they're doing a lot of. I saw Dior do this week, where they're doing kind of more how it's not actually a Dior ad. It's taking their ambassadors and letting them live in their lives. So inadvertently, you're getting brand awareness, but you're having a story, like mini series of stories of other things. So it doesn't actually have to be product-led content. It can be some kind of storytelling that's like deep and meaningful and connecting to people in a different way, but that your business is incorporated in it. One more. I'm only allowed one more. Sorry, you choose because I don't want to choose.
Oh, very well done.
Okay. It's actually a question for Jamie.
Go on, Jamie.
So I'm not a founder. I manage a portfolio of founder-led brands.
Yeah.
You've obviously got a big ambition, and legacy is really important to you, but you have placed yourself, like we've been talking, at the front and centre of your brands. Do you have a concern, and how do you see it working in the future? When you've got a portfolio of 15 brands, how do you see the transition working of you moving away from bringing the front and centre of those brands, and does it worry you?
Yeah, great question. Well, I don't know if it does worry me, but because firstly, like I'm not there yet, so I can't really give you an answer. But also, for my like limited knowledge of the future, right? I don't see why that will become a negative. Like we just acquired Graze, right? Right. I'm not the founder of Graze. I'm just a big fan of Graze, and we acquired it. But what we're doing on social media is doing this 100 days of rebuilding Graze, because everyone knows Graze, so let's build it in the public. Like,
do you agree that you're becoming the face of Graze?
Yes, I do. Well, yes, I don't think so, no, because I think Graze already existed. So maybe but maybe I am the face, but also that's not a negative, I don't think. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't see that as a negative. I don't. Only because in the past I tried to distance myself from these businesses, right? If we acquire the next one, like we're looking to acquire 2 other businesses, right? Would I put myself as a face? I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. But at the same time, I don't see it as a negative if I do it, because maybe you become unsaturated. I don't like oversaturated. I don't know, but I can't give you an answer at the moment. But I will think about it.
You might. Well done. Right.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. You guys
Thanks,
are great.
guys. Thank you.
And enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Great to meet you.
I have some there.
Thanks a lot, guys.